Peace. What up, humans? You're tuned in to the RSC. We're having a good time talking about all sorts and forms of bacon. So peace to you. Get your sizzle on. You heard? Yo, before we get the show started, like the good guys usually do, it is indeed survey time. So according to my clipboard, this week's survey is: do we get a Roman Cody face-off before Mania 39, before the go-home show, or do they wait until Mania? I'm gonna say we get it within 2 weeks.
Yeah, we definitely get that face-off within the 2 weeks.
Mania is the 1st and the 2nd of April. I think we get it at the go-home show on SmackDown.
Go home show SmackDown.
All right, go home show SmackDown seems to be the popular answer, and this is the beginning of episode number 22. You heard?
Peace to the gods, the ringside club pod. My name is A.O. Say you're the Ron the Don. Blame Boogie while you at it, blame Chad Law. Kayfabe is dead, break the fourth wall. Whatever style, whether it's lucha or strong style. Come through the beam, you fly, burn the ball down. Back to the pad, chop it up for the par. Ringside club, intro to the squad as the show starts.
Peace to the gods, and of course, peace to the earth, peace to the humans. Episode number 22 is sponsored by Boar's Head Beef Bacon. You're tuned in to the mighty RSC, the Ringside Club. Biggest pause of all time. Biggest pause of all time. You're tuned in to the mightiest of all mighty, the Ringside Club. Broadcasting live indeed from the Empire Tri-State. Check out therinsideclub.com for all your needs. Everything you need to know is indeed right there. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, you can check out the video over on YouTube. You can check out the audio on Spotify. Make sure you rate it 5 stars, please, and thank you. Check out the audio, of course, also on Apple Podcasts. Rate it 5 stars, please, and thank you. Tell a friend that it is indeed them. Again, before we throw it around, I just want to throw a couple of shout outs. First and foremost, we had a sponsorship for a show presented by We Are Wrestling a couple months ago. Shouts to Peter Rosado.
Salute.
That was our
brothers.
first sponsorship. Yeah, that was our first sponsorship. We have returned, and not only will we be sponsoring a wrestler named Jay Bougie, dope wrestler, by the way. We'll get talk about him a little bit in the future, of course. He will also be a guest, Peter Rosado. Our first guest, our first sponsorship, our first guest. So next week, not this episode, but the next episode, we'll have our first guest here, right here on the Ringside Club. Other than that, I think you should go and check out what the numbers are doing over there on TikTok. We got a 20K video, I believe, that's moving a little bit. I think our followers went up on TikTok further than the Instagram followers. Nice. So that's what's up. Check out that video that we put out. Speaking about Sean Waltman, I think that's just under a K over on YouTube, so that's moving. Subscribers are going up. People are starting to find the show. So I just want to say I appreciate all of y'all that hit the subscribe button or the like button or sent the comment out, share whatever we're doing with whoever you know. Appreciate you. Peace to Peter Rosado. Of course, that show is We Are Wrestling. There Can Only Be One in the Bronx, March 10th, Friday, March 10th. More information is obviously going to be on the website, plus all of our socials. With all of that being said, my name is A.O. Please do not follow me. Link me. Follow the work. Don't follow me. I'm only built for crushed grapes. You heard? Now let's pass it to my mans
Hey,
and
who
them.
are you? Let me introduce you to the other Don.
Thanks to the Bacon God. Thank you, sir. I am Ron the Don. I am Ron the Don, and you can find me on all streaming services, all streaming platforms at Ron Don PMF. See the coffee in the background, see the hats, you dig? Follow me, follow Ringside Club, follow all the gentlemen here. Let's go. What's good, Boog?
Yo, Boog, you the champ right now?
Yeah, that's me.
The champ is here. Boom, 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 boom. Look what you did.
You know, someone's got to carry the weight of this podcast on their back, and it might as well be me. And really, I'm only carrying Chad because everybody else is carrying their own weight. Chad needs to really pick up the slack here as far as championship reigns go. I think I have 3 now, 3-time champ. I'm just lifting belts like, I don't know. I don't have a sly little remark there, but Blame Boogie, everybody's favorite scapegoat, everybody's least favorite champion, Boog Lesnar, as they call me in our chat. But yeah, 3-time champ. I don't got much to say. Like AO says, I don't want you to follow me, but you can go to blameboogie.com and you could hire me for some work. Other than that, I'm gonna kick it back to 2-time champ, Chad.
It's the kid, Younger Diver himself, CHADLAW, Chad Law is in the spot, the Ringside Club, the Almighty. Y'all know I am the villain of this podcast, here to disrupt, cause mayhem, and continue on championship reigns. Hey, yo, I did not forget I have a TV title I need to claim. Boogie, I will see you at No Surrender. Impact, I hope you're defending that title. Show up to the house show and put that belt on the line, because I'm becoming a double champion, walking into WrestleMania. That's a fact. That's a fender fact.
I'm gonna remain champion off Tommy Dreamer's polka dots. Word to Jesus.
Oh, it's going down. It's going down.
Christ.
It's going down. Y'all going to see the results. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a new champion. I'm coming up for that 3-time belt. I have probably the most cumulative, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to the time spent having the titles. So, you know what I'm saying? We are going to make sure we acknowledge that. I am the first TV champion. I'm the longest reigning RSC Predictions Heavyweight Champion. So let's not forget these accolades that we're stacking over here. You know what I'm saying? Younger Dava is here, and he's here to pod. So without further ado,
if I carry this belt into Mania really quickly, I'm going to change it and cover it in disco gems, just like a disco ball. Shouts out to Disco Inferno.
Nasty.
Because I could never be hated more than that. So
nasty belt. Nasty belt.
Please take the mic away from us so we can stop arguing and we can.
Let's decide this TV title, man. Let's get this going.
Yeah, what's the tiebreaker, gents?
All right. Who was the longest reigning WCW television champion?
Longest reigning WCW TV champ.
This guy was trying to have a shooting for the names out there for like 5 minutes.
I have Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I have Tully Blanchard. And I have Booker T. Go.
I'm going to go with Booker T.
Booker T.
All right, you both got it wrong. Yeah, one more guess.
Tully.
You said Tully. I'm going Hacksaw.
All right. AO wins. Tully Blanchard has the longest
Ladies
WCW
and
championship
gentlemen,
reign. 353 days.
Still, listen, I have 153 reign going right now. Maybe not, but whatever. It feels like 153 reign. Let me tell you something. I want to thank my mom once again because she did a really good job. I want to thank my wife. She holds me down. Make sure there's food on my ribs. I want to thank these 2 thumbs for typing in amazing work, making sure the motherfucking lights stay on. I want to thank you, Chad Law. You are a formidable opponent.
That was the biggest win of your championship career. That was the biggest solo win of your championship career. It was pinning. That was
I am the king of television. I don't know who Samoa Joe thinks he's talking about.
That was that feel-good win that you just got.
I'm proud of you.
Don't watch me. Watch TV.
This guy
Maybe
AO.
one day you could beat me.
This guy AO just sent the fans home happy. He got the big win. He got the big win over me and sent the fans home happy. This guy, man. Congratulations, champ.
Call me Babyface Baker out here in these streets, you heard me? All right.
The
Let's
Miz,
get to these.
the Miz Law signing off until it's his time to speak. The put over champ.
Let's get to these topics. Once again, theringsideclub.com. Now, we were speaking offline. I'm curious to know what you gents most watched match is, or what match do you think has the most replay value? Could be a recent match, could be a match that you watched a bunch of times as a kid. Maybe you popped the tape on the VHS, you cracked the DVD. Curious to know. I have two. I have a recent one, and I think I have what might be my all-time most watched match. All-time is Bret Hart versus Austin at Mania 13. Definitely watched that a whole hell of a lot. Classic match. I think that's one of Bret's favorite top 2 or top 3 matches of his career. Same with Stone Cold. They both talked about it separately. They've been on podcasts talking about it together on Austin's show, just speaking about it, going through it move by move, what worked, what didn't work, how difficult it is to pull off a double turn. And that iconic shot of the blood trickling down. See, we don't get Stone Cold bleeding every week the way we get Jon Moxley bleeding every week. So it was a very special thing.
Imagine we had Austin bleeding the way Moxley bleeds every week. The Attitude Era would have been insane.
Yeah, like Mox got to be dehydrated by now, because that shit is wild. Leading up, by the way, to what's the match? A street fight, a death match? What's
Texas death match in California.
Yeah. Like, yo, save the blood for the Texas death match. But I digress. So that might be my all-time. Recently, I watched Omega versus Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom. I'm pretty sure I watched that maybe about 4 times, 5 times, give or take. Too early to say where it ranks in the best of all time. I don't really like doing best of all time rankings anyway. I hate rankings. It's impossible. It's always like, if this person wasn't in the ring with that person, how can you say their match was better than their match? Different times, different movesets, different popularity, different things in vogue, out of vogue, blah, blah, blah. That goes across that's all art forms, by the way. Like, I think it's impossible to say who the greatest rapper of all time is, by the way. This person wasn't out at that person. His metrics are different. Anyway, that being said, it's one of the best matches, obviously, of this year, for sure, so far. And I think by the end of the year, it's going to be still very, very comfortable on that top shelf. So those might be my 2 right now off the top of my head. Ron, what say you?
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything recent. I mean, there's certain matches that you can run back, but I had to go a little further back and try to remember something. And what I do remember is Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc 97. Yeah, so
is that the match where Ray had the purple and black hair?
That is the match.
Yeah.
And that's really there's a few, but that's the one that really stood out to me. They just put on a fucking technical masterpiece, man, from start to finish. So, yeah, I'm going with that one. Like, just amazing match. If anybody out there hasn't watched it, definitely go back and watch that match.
Cool. For me, it's kind of cheating, I guess, but the 1992 Royal Rumble is probably what's gotten the most mileage out of me, because it's something I've gone back to watch, put it on almost like I put The Office on in the background. It's just kind of like running while I'm doing stuff, just because there's like so much great wrestling that's going on there. Plus everything that made me fall in love with wrestling. So I wouldn't say like the best technical wrestling in the world, but just the spectacle of wrestling. I think that was one of the best from back in the day that I've ever seen. I have one more throwback, and this isn't really a match, so it's kind of cheating. But when Jake the Snake tied Macho Man up in the ropes and had the Cobra bite him on live TV, that's one of like the most memorable moments I ever saw in my life.
Hell yeah.
And even though it's like a tough watch, even as an adult, it's like, holy shit, this guy's really getting chomped on by like a humongous snake. It's like
snake.
Something you can't
I
stop
wasn't a fan of
watching
that
for some
snake, yo.
reason.
I was mad scared of that joint. Pause.
Yeah, nah. That shit is still, if you Google it right now, you take a look at it, it's like, yo, this shit is OD big. Like, what the fuck is that shit doing in a wrestling ring? But yeah, man, those guys were different back then. If I were to say a modern match or a more modern set of matches, the trilogy for FTR Briscoes is crazy, man. If I was to tell anybody what matches to watch to really get into wrestling, like if you were just really trying to find something new and you didn't have any preconceived notions and you're like, oh, I just want to see what this is, and like storytelling and all that, I would tell them to watch those 3 matches, yo, because that shit was really impactful in our modern times here.
Facts.
Word.
If I gotta go overall, from the overall generations, I think I'll bring my run back match to the early 2000s, and that would be WrestleMania 18, The Rock versus Hogan.
Okay.
That match was so electric. Like, I was so into it at the time. Like, I'm watching live. Like, I'm like, yo, The Rock is facing Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania, bro. Like, I'm tweaking, you know what I'm saying? Catching this live. So it's like, to be able to experience that time frame live, ordering WrestleMania 18, getting hyped when Jim Ross and everybody's getting ready to announce the match, and then like when that started to play and Rock comes out, then they stare down. That's what Sammy and Roman felt like to me, was that bit of like Rock and Hogan a bit inside of Canada. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think
Good call. Good call.
I could watch that match back like over and over again and just like feel the excitement every time. Like, that match does it for me when it comes to excitement. Maybe not the best technical match like Boog said, but just like overall, The Rock versus Hulk Hogan, like that is, bro, that was once in a lifetime, bro. And it's crazy to think like we got Hulk Hogan versus pretty much everybody in the WWE right after that. I mean, we had Hulk Hogan versus Randy Orton, or Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels, Lesnar, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, The Undertaker, Triple H. It's like, it was a pretty wavy era at that point when Hulk Hogan came back. I ain't going front. I ain't the Hulk Hogan guy, but that was pretty cool to see that era growing up at the time before I knew he hated
I was
black
tapped
people.
out, but I did check in afterwards. A lot of good feelings there. Like I said, before the cat was out of the bag with all the Terry. When we were all kids, we grew up taking our vitamins, saying our prayers and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of how it was.
He don't want nobody at the cookout. He don't want no cookout.
Nah. So it's like, to see that, go back to that feeling, because again, Rock was a little kid and he was traveling with his pops, and like he was around these guys as a little kid. So you figure you're not just wrestling your idol, but you're wrestling a dude that took food off your dad's plate a lot of the time because he was the main draw. So it's like a cathartic moment. Like, that shit's just fire. It's definitely dope.
Yeah, good match. And then if I got to go recent, I'm going WrestleMania 30 something with Kofi and Bryan Danielson. Build up.
Yeah.
And that match in general, fire match. Bryan Danielson can never do wrong. Daniel Bryan, he's always a technical god. Kofi really came to play. He really showed out. And honestly, that ending, I could watch that and shed a tear literally over and over again. Like, great match. I'd tell everyone, that's the match I would show people that, like, yo, if you want to get into wrestling, like, you should watch the build up for this match and then this match and then the after of that match. And you'll be in tears.
You know what I really loved about that match? It was a person that had the moment that Kofi was about to have. Like, Daniel Bryan at the time was literally maybe a year, 2 years or so off from the, Yesomania vibe.
He was the Planet champion, the Planet's champion.
Exactly.
He was having a pretty solid heel run too.
But great heel run. That title was amazing. That hemp belt.
Who was he running with too? Didn't he have like Rowan with him or somebody running with him at that time?
Eric Rowan. Crazy era. What a time,
as the heavy.
What a time.
But it's like the guy that the fans like willed into the main event, finally being able to pass the torch as a solidified main eventer to the next guy that the fans willed into the main event is poetic.
This is a wild interjection, but you know who I thought that was going to happen for, and it never happened for still to this day? Chad's about to fall off camera. But Ricochet. I thought Ricochet was going to end up getting some kind of, because
he faced Brock Lesnar for the WWE title already. What do you mean? He's had his
That's
moment.
what I'm saying. No, I'm not saying that. I thought he was going to actually get the moment, like the win. You know what I mean? Like, he never had, when he came over from being Prince Puma to being Ricochet in WWE, I thought he was going to have that moment, like just get that moment where the fans were all behind him like that, and it never really happened.
It's because it's tough to connect with Ricochet. Like, we don't really, still to this day, I can't say that I have any kind of emotional connection other than, he does really, really dope moves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at least with Kofi and the Daniel Bryan, the way that those stories were built, you felt sympathy. You know what I'm saying? You felt something because you see that the foot of corporate is being, is pushed down on this person who we know is talented. With Ricochet, it's like they never, it's partially presentation and it's partially booking because the talent is there. But like when he gets on the mic and he's talking or he's in segments or whatever, there's not a real human there other than somebody who's kind of just saying words, you know?
You know what was crazy to think about? Like him and Aleister Black, or Malachi Black, were actually in a WrestleMania tag title match not too long ago. If not the same WrestleMania that Kofi and Bryan Danielson had their match, which is still crazy. And he had a
Time
WrestleMania.
flies.
He had a WrestleMania moment and a WrestleMania match for a championship, but now it's like his road to WrestleMania is looking like it's going to be at the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Yeah. Where
Time's
I
flying. I got one more before.
my bad.
Oh, okay,
I had just thought about a moment I had mentioned a few weeks ago, I think, for Royal Rumble. You know, it's not exactly a match, but I just remember I think AJ Styles premiering at think it was the 2016 Royal Rumble, I believe. Yeah, when he debuted, yeah. And I think he had I think it was Roman Reigns standing in the ring, I believe. And I just remember I said this I think a few pods back, and I was like, yo, when he came out and he got that crazy pop, and I remember going to my phone and just looking for that moment, and just rewinded that moment like 5 or 6 times. I thought it was so dope. That was the only thing I can, it was just fire.
Yeah, that's up there, top debut. Like that's like the heads know.
Definitely.
Same thing when Jericho debuted on Raw with The Rock in the ring. Like there's just certain moments where it's like, all right, this feels like this is where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Before we get off of this topic, before you close out, I want to just piggyback off of my last match. What if Kofi Mania did not happen and it was Ali Mania instead? Because obviously we weren't podding at this time, so we didn't have the Ringside Club to shoot the shit with the fantasy when it came to Mustafa Ali Mania at that time, and we were all watching that shit. So, what do you think? What do y'all think it would have occurred if Ali never got injured and the trajectory was going the way it was rumored to have gone, which was Ali was going to get the push?
It's tough to speculate on how the fans would have responded, but just looking at the presentation of Mustafa Ali, he has the same kind of, not the same, but he has a story. He has a background. I think he would have connected. It's hard to say if it would have got to like Mania levels the same way that Kofi did and the same way that Daniel Bryan did. I don't think either one of their trajectories was predictable in the first place. There's no way you can predict somebody being that popular, but he's talented. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think like even what they're doing with him now, where he's like super geeked about getting a pin over Dolph Ziggler, it's like you're supposed to be a little bit above that or beyond that. You know what I mean? He's talented. He can definitely do it in the ring. I just think the presentation has him looking like a geek, and that's not really his fault.
Definitely a dork.
Unless he's not arguing and fighting for himself.
I think it is
backstage.
his fault. I'm not going to front. I think this is what he's presenting. I think some of it historically has been otherwise, but I think he's actually bringing some of these rebrands up. Like I don't think Retribution was his fault, but I do think that a lot of this other stuff is who he is. To me, he's just Chauncey Billups. It's like, yeah, you're on the team, but ain't nobody buying tickets to come see you play right now. Like, you're nice, yeah, but like we're here to see fucking Ben Wallace. Like, we're not here to see that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
It's tough. Like, I don't know. It's real tough to predict who does and doesn't connect. I just think like if I'm in the writer's room and I'm writing a story for him, I think I'd be able to get him over. You know what I'm saying? I think I'd be able to have him connect to the fans. But to Boog's point, it's also we can give you all the material, all the best material in the world. You still have to deliver that material. You have to perform that.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? So that's
Word.
So far we're like, yeah, you're good in the ring, but where's the actual connection? That's what over is. Like, are you able to connect to the fans and elicit a response?
I really think it's analogous to like music. Like everybody could record music, but
Not
who's
everybody's a
making
star.
songs?
Not everyone
writing
can find a
songs?
hit.
You know what I'm saying?
It was something I
you
tweeted out. It was something, a video I saw, but I tweeted out maybe last week. But it's like you can spend hours looking for a snare, and I find the perfect snare 3,000 snares later, but the song still sucks. So it's not the snare, it's not the beat, it's not the this, it's not the that. It's all of that together. Is it a good song or not? Can you write a song? Some people can, some people can't. And some people can't perform a good song also. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can give somebody gold on a platter and they suck. You know what I mean? You're performing with the fucking with the lyric track in the background, you know?
I'm just gonna be honest and say that I can't give a lot of reasons why I don't like him, but I can be honest and say I don't like him. You know what I mean? So I don't know that a push by WWE would make me like him for similar reasons to Austin Theory. I had to like kind of like Theory on my own and like this version of Theory versus the one where they were really pushing him on us. So I don't know. We could let this topic go. But
I look at him like how I look at Dolph Ziggler, just very talented, but there's just something, you know, I guess whatever the gimmick is, there's just something about them that's it's not getting them over. It's like you said, how they present them. It's just them.
You think Ali would be better in AEW?
In AEW?
No.
You think he'd be a future Impact World Heavyweight Champion?
I was just gonna say I'm a pull of Chad Law. He'd be a future Impact World Heavyweight Champion.
I mean, looking at him as in his current presentation, I don't think he's a world champion anywhere. I don't think he's taken serious enough to warrant being given a world title. You know, you got to work your way up still. Like, we know what you can do in the ring, but you're not connecting them. There's no legitimacy there. Nobody's like, yo, that Ali match. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that Ali match.
Well, look, his contract's up in 2024, supposedly. So maybe at some point next year, we'll be seeing Ali Singh, Impact Wrestling X Division champion.
Leo Rush 2.0.
Lord.
Oof.
Okay.
I like Leo.
Leo's
man.
dope.
I like Leo. All right, closing this out, I had one more match, and then I had an idea that sparked while we were going around, but I think I mentioned this before really quick. If I'm ever going to play an older match and tell somebody this is pro wrestling, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Dude Love at Over the Edge. Mr. McMahon is the guest referee. The Stooges are the bell ringer and the timekeeper. Undertaker's in there. They're throwing each other over cars. All kind of wild shit is happening. It's sports entertainment, brother. Love that match. The idea that I had, we need to do a playlist. YouTube playlist, find the matches that we really fuck with. Every so often, just throw some commentary up and list them and say, yo, this is the ringside club picks or whatever we want to call them. But
I'm with that.
That would be dope.
I'm with that.
like
That would be dope. And whatever we just mentioned, if we could find it on the tube, let's line it up.
Man, I'm with that.
I like that.
You got it, Ron.
Yes, sir. So this week I wanted to get into the new AEW game, which is hopefully going to come out in the near future, the AEW Fight Forever. And I wanted to touch on that because we really haven't talked about it since they talked about actually trying to release it. So I remember the game was announced on November 10th, 2020 at the AEW Games, I think 1.0 special event. And the reveal trailer featured AEW wrestlers Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, and Hikaru Shida. So from reading from my research, it said Hideyuki Gaeta Iwashita, director of WWF No Mercy.
This is mad funny hearing you pronounce it.
I know, it's crazy. Yo, and director he's the director of WWF No Mercy and WCW NWO Revenge, was also announced as the director of the game, and that struck out to me because I love those games growing up. So
It's like arcade style.
that was if you ever played those games on N64, it's kind of sort of.
My last system was PS2, brother, so this is fun.
I'm right there with you, King.
So we'll get to that. So where's I? So in June 2021, the first in-development gameplay video was released, including the reveal of Darby Allin. In September of that same year, another short gameplay video featured Jungle Boy was released as well. So in February 2022, Kenny Omega stated that the game would feature cross-platform play as well. Following the April 21st, 2022 taping at AEW Dynamite, AEW founder Tony Khan told the live crowd that the title of the game will be AEW Fight Forever. And this was later confirmed on May 4, 2022. Okay, so in June 2022, Omega stated in an interview with Fightful that the game was tentatively scheduled to release later that year, which obviously it didn't release. And then the game would later confirm the game will be published by THQ Nordic. So this week, or I don't know if it was, sometime this week, Kenny Omega got on. He made a statement on the Swerve's podcast, Swerve City, also co-hosted by Mont Easy, and they were asking him questions about when's the release of the game because they have not given them a release date as yet. They were saying somewhere in the second quarter it was going to be released, but Kenny Omega kind of cleared it up for everybody. So this is what he said on the pod. It said it does suck because the rating has held us back a little bit because we really wanted to get it out. So the longer the time goes by, this finished product that we have of as a game is just going to be a little dated. Sure, it's a lot of the same people that are going to be there, but some aren't, and you're going to wonder why I've seen this guy on TV for weeks. Why isn't he in this game? It's because the game is done, but we've been trying to get our game in a position to be rated so that it can sell, so that it can possibly say that we're headed back to the in the right direction. And then Omega revealed that the good developer was looking to scale back the content to secure a T rating from the ESRB. So basically
meaning that's just about to be a throwback when it comes out.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So a T rating would imply that the game will be fit for teens and above and would contain violence and some suggestive themes. So basically, they got to
tone it down so
right,
they can get a more family
exactly, so they
going.
can sell the actual product. You know what I'm saying? So AW will be released on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X,
Sega Genesis.
That'll be funny as hell if they get it for Sega Genesis, but I wouldn't be surprised. And it'll be also on PC. So yeah, I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. And I've actually been playing WWE 2022. And I probably will be buying the
How was it? Oh, how was it?
It's good, but of course it came with its glitches. There was some glitches in the poor story mode. I've seen better story modes in the past. There's a few glitches, but it's not terrible. The last one I bought before that was, I think, let me see. I think it's like, do I see it over there? I think WWE 2K18, and I played the first. I think I played like 2-3 matches, and I put it down. The game got to a point where it's like you gotta do a whole bunch of stuff just to get like a freaking submission going. So it was like it was just mad complicated compared to.
This is Xbox or PS?
PS. I think it was PS4. I was playing it on.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah,
it's like really terrible.
I felt like I should have kept going, but I'm like, yo, it shouldn't be this complicated to get a submission.
As the non-video game guy for RSC, the last time I played was 2K18, and then any other time after that, I'd just rather be in 64. No mercy. That's all I want to play. That's like the only wrestling game I ever want to play in life is WWF.
I think my last shit was SmackDown 2, maybe? Like
PS, the PlayStation, the one, that one. The one with The Rock, the one with Lesnar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nah, Lesnar. Rock.
That
Rock.
one was fire.
I ain't have the Lesnar joint.
The Know Your Role was fire. That was a good one.
And that's what I was about to ask y'all. Like, I know y'all not gamers now. Y'all not really into video games or, any WWE games or like just any wrestling game in general. But I know y'all, just like how y'all talking now, what wrestling games were y'all into like back then? I know for me, it was WWE. The first game I got for Christmas, I think Christmas of '98, it was WCW NWO Revenge, and then I played that absolutely, and that's what made me just start looking at wrestling even more after that. And then after that, it was
that comment right there is going to lead to a point that I have.
Wait, which one?
Keep going. That video game led to me being a bigger wrestling fan.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about it now. I think that's when I started. I think that was the first time I really got into when I saw Hollywood Hogan, like I saw people like I saw Chris Jericho, Larry Zbyszko.
Yo, Larry Zbyszko being mentioned.
It's
on the
I know it's
Ringside Club,
wild,
outrageous.
but I don't know why. That's just that name just
Who would have thought?
yo.
Larry Zbyszko in 2000. Is he still
Yeah,
alive?
he's still alive because he's
He is?
only if he because he's in the
Legend.
WWE Hall of Fame.
He's a
He's in the
legend for
WWE
sure.
Hall of Fame. So yeah,
Oh, I remember. Yo, his
it was
speech
mad
a couple
long. It
years
was
ago
long as hell.
wild.
Yeah, it was super long.
Yeah, I remember
Pause. Yeah. Then I think for me it was then then after that it was WrestleMania 2000. Then No Mercy, and then that's when I switched over to PS1. And it was like the end of N64 for a little bit, and then I got into SmackDown 1, then like you're saying, SmackDown 2, and then I played a few wrestling games after that, and then I think after 2005, I said it before, it's like I just dropped out of wrestling completely and just got into like NBA Live, Tekken. I was into that stuff before that, but like
mine wasn't really like I don't really have a long list. You know what I'm saying? Like I've only had like 3 consoles. I think I had Genesis, I had first PlayStation, and I had PlayStation 2. I remember for Genesis, I had WWF Royal Rumble.
Right.
Like I remember Razor Ramon was in there, Rick the Model Martel was in there, Bret Hart. They had different versions, right? So it was the Nintendo, Super Nintendo joint, and then there was the Sega Genesis joint, and it were different wrestlers. So I remember on, like Bret Hart was my dude. He was on Genesis. I think Shawn Michaels might have been there, but there were a couple people that weren't on this Genesis that were on the Nintendo version. But anyway, so I had that. And then I remember having, was it Warzone?
I
think
had
Warzone
Warzone too. That's terrible.
Yeah, for the first PlayStation, it was
Yeah.
alright back then to me because there wasn't another wrestling game. And then the SmackDown joints, I had a couple of those. That was it. I had like 4 games. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really a big gamer like that. But the point that I wanted to bring up before I throw the book was my interest in the AEW video game has everything to do with what you said about how that made you a bigger fan. Like I'm interested in how this impacts the overall growth. You know, how you get those quote unquote casual fans, people that are just buying video games to play video games. Maybe one of their homies lines them up and is like, yo, come play this AEW joint with me. Yo, what is this? Who is that? Blah, blah, blah. And then they tune into the show. There's a lot of people that have said the same thing. It's like the popularity of AEW might benefit from the video game coming out because these people aren't necessarily wrestling fans. They're video game fans that become wrestling fans because of the game. So that's something to pay attention to whenever they do finally announce the date and it's been out for a while, just to see like the growth in the conversation, how that changes and how that adjusts.
Because I remember I was one of those guys like I think I had bought No Mercy, or no, my parents bought No Mercy for me, and I remember I was in junior high at the time, and I remember we were during lunchtime we would sneak into like our classroom and play No Mercy on N64. So and that also got me more into wrestling too, because now I just started just looking at like at the time there was I don't know SmackDown didn't come until 99. Yeah. So
that's how you get into the characters. If you're browsing along, it's just like looking at any other game, any other fighting game, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, whatever. You're looking at, yo, this guy looks cool, but pick him. And then when you see him on TV, these guys are like fucking cartoon characters come to life. Like imagine picking the Undertaker, not knowing who he is, and you see the Undertaker. Like, what the fuck is that? He raised his hands up, and then fire came out the ring. Yo, I'm down. This is lit.
Go book. So, did you play? Did you play when you?
Yeah. So it's funny because my video game like years dropped off right at the end of this. So like I played all the original ones, and as an adult, I've downloaded like the old arcade games on my computer and shit like that, just so I could rock them. But the ones that I really got the most play out of were the original, the WWF Attitude for PlayStation, and the original SmackDown for PlayStation. And shouts out to Siphon Filter because I was playing that more than any of those two. But anyway, at that time, that's what I was kind of playing, and I just remember the creator wrestler was really appealing to me. I mean, AO knows. I'm sure you guys were the same, but our generation, we were coming up on customization before this new, like, everybody on the internet customizing and selling stuff. Like, we had Sharpie markers on our sneakers when we were little kids. Like, that's just something we were doing. So
Yep.
I just feel like the customizing a wrestler, even in the NBA games when you're able to create players, I feel like that was like such a cool component. So being able to do that back then with wrestlers and have them fight in the ring against your favorite wrestlers was like some cool shit. So that would probably be it for me.
Word.
My video games for wrestling varied. I would say I started off with WCW Mayhem. What was it, Mayhem?
Yeah.
That's the one I saw at Circuit City.
Mayhem.
Saw that one with Goldberg on the cover. I got that. ECW Anarchy Rules was fucking fire.
Circus City is an amazing drop.
Yeah.
What a time.
What a time, right?
Shouts to Sam Goody.
That game was mad cheap.
Shout out to the
Everybody beats
Wiz.
the Wiz.
It was in the bin. I was like, I'm grabbing it. ECW Anarchy Rules, super fire game. ECW games was so lit, yo. You could beat everybody up.
Yo, I remember. I never had one. I remember. I rented that shit from Blockbuster. Yeah.
I had it. I loved Anarchy Rules. That was great. Obviously, I had No Mercy. That was an awesome, awesome game. I'd play that till my fucking life stopped. I'd play that right now, actually, if I could. I had a GameCube briefly, so I had WrestleMania 18 on the GameCube. That was like kind of cool, I guess. It was like GameCube ain't really it. Wasn't really hitting. SmackDown, Know Your Role as well too. SmackDown 2000 and Know Your Role, amazing games. And it kind of just stopped from there for me. That's kind of just fell out. You know what I'm saying? I'm really a video game guy.
Word.
Got to do the work. I can't be in a virtual reality too much. You know what I'm saying? Social media is enough of a video game. Life is a video game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that.
Sure, it damn sure is. I don't know what these humans are. Humans ain't human anymore.
I was going through this video game list and I didn't realize New Japan had a lot of video games. I didn't even realize that. Yeah.
New Japan games? I ain't know. They just never made it over here.
There's like,
to me,
there's like 15 of them for various systems, Android, all of that. I didn't know that shit. So now,
I'm not gonna front, guys. I might have to make an announcement here, but I think I've let breadcrumbs out about this, but New Japan's kind of growing on me. I don't hate it.
Okay.
Is it only when they're in America, or is it like?
No, it really doesn't bother me. I mean, if I can't understand the announcers, that's one thing, but I understand the wrestling, so it's pretty dope, man. You know, I don't mind it. If I don't know what stips are, whatever, I'll find out what it is later. But for the most part, I really like their their regal presentation of it. Like, it just seems more, not even professional, but like that it matters to them. It's not just like we're throwing a pay-per-view to make some money. Like, this is some shit that matters to these people, you know?
I was thinking about that watching Battle in the Valley. I was like, yo, if we ever went to a New Japan event as the RSC, like, we would totally get kicked out because me and you would be leaning over the rail like this. Like, yo, what's going on, yo? Ayo would be like, yo, guys, come on, man. I'm not even, I don't even know them.
That's when y'all are gonna find out that I actually speak Japanese.
Here we go.
Hey, yo, that's what I was telling.
Me and Bug are going to be clapping, we're going to be cheering, we're going to be standing up, and everyone's just going to be looking at us like, these guys are disrespectful.
Yeah.
You disrespectful.
Hey, yo, that's what I was telling you last
What's
week.
going on
Yo,
here, fam?
like once in my life, I gotta go to a New Japan. I gotta go to a New Japan show, man.
Yo, on my bucket list, I'm not gonna lie. This might sound blasphemous, but I want to go to a Wrestle Kingdom in the Tokyo Dome more than I want to go to a Mania. Like,
You
Mania
just want to
doesn't
wear
appeal.
like a geisha. You want to wear the whole apparel, don't you?
Nah, you wildin'. What I do want to do, there's this steakhouse, right? There's this steakhouse called Ribera. I want to go to Ribera. I want to get a jacket, B. They probably would never give it to me, but I want to cop a jacket.
No, that's a
I know
fire
you
spot.
talking about.
That is
Yeah.
history right there.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a damn
probably
cool
like
content.
it's a joint that's no bigger than the room I'm in right now. I've heard.
I think you saw it in a
You know what I'm saying? But I
documentary
wanna-
or something, right? I know exactly. Yes,
seen
I
it a
saw
bunch
it.
of
I
places.
think it was entering.
They've been in documentaries. Like, I'm a weirdo, all right? So I've read a lot about Ribera's, you know what I'm saying? But I want to go. I think
Nah, same here.
Yeah, there's like two of them. I don't know which. There's one, and then they made a bigger one just because Mad Wrestlers came through and shit. But the
Word.
first one they still fuck with. But yeah, like, I want to go. To me, nothing really appeals about seeing, like, being one of 100,000 people watching a show in the arena. Because I just think about what it's going to take for me to get out of that shit. My anxiety is like through the roof.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where's my car?
Or like getting a giant stadium, man.
Ooh, I'm converting y'all. Shouts to the Japanese wrestling contingent of the RSC. I fucks with.
Word.
Konnichiwa, my brother.
Boogadelic.
Konnichiwa.
Yes,
Salud.
sir. So my topic this week is pretty interesting, at least to me. I'm sure you guys will find it interesting as well. But, you know, we were just talking about nostalgia, what we grew up on, what had playback value, stuff that just, you know, makes you return to it. And I think a lot of the reason why we're not doing that in the modern era, we'll probably appreciate it later on, but in the era we're living in, it's just like, it's very difficult to see and appreciate something for what it is when we know the fourth wall's been broken, so to speak, and we know that there's so much money behind these things. There's advertising dollars. There's a lot of stuff that's driving these storylines and these different ideas, Mountain Dew pitch black matches and all this other stuff. So it's like, how do we actually successfully catch lightning in a bottle like we did when Stone Cold's glass shattered, like we did when, you know, Diesel used to pump his hand in the air and choke slam people? Like, how do we get that feeling that you got when you watched wrestling as a child and you're like, holy shit, this is amazing? We catch it every now and then, but how do these companies do that when we know that they have so much that they have to answer for? We know WWE, I mean, we hear it till we're blue in the face, what they're either being sold for, their stakeholders, they're this, they're that. There's so much different stuff that goes into what they're doing on screen. Why don't we have another John Cena? Why is Roman Reigns the biggest star? Why isn't everyone from the top of the roster down a star, like the Big Boss Man, Jake the Snake, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, the Honky Tonk Man? Like, why don't we have these characters that could give us formidable matches where you actually believe someone may win or lose this match, instead of, well, I know Roman's our guy, he's going to win this week. You know, why is every fight that he's fighting a title match? Why can't they just be non-title matches where he's just fighting like wrestlers do, you know? So I guess it's a long-winded topic, but I want to get everybody's 2 cents on how you think, or if you think it's possible that we could catch lightning in a bottle in the modern era like we did with Sammy and Roman, because that's, I think, the most recent thing we got.
While you were saying that, my brain was going in like 9 different directions. Synapses were firing like a motherfucker. Right? I think the easiest way for starters, like, it's the magic of being a child. It's the magic of being a kid. It's the magic of not understanding how the sausage is made or is necessary. But it's
AO's got to get.
Things you
we got to pause this whole podcast for a second. AO gets, even though he's now 2-time TV champion, I'll give him his props. He's got to be like the all-time winningest pauser on this podcast too.
Gotta be easily. This guy's leading the league, leading scorer.
Yo,
if AO lived in the city, it would be the meat packing. And you can pause that if you need to.
Yo. Yo.
Hey, yo.
Nah.
Yo.
Can't play my drop during that. That. Yikes.
King beef.
And
Anyway,
that's still not as pause worthy as some of the stuff that's been said on the podcast.
This is a wild one. This is
Coming from the hop the rail guy. Yeah, it's great.
Oh my
It's
god!
wild, B.
Oh man, yeah. It's really just about the magic of being a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It makes sense.
think about when you believe the rappers really did the shit that they rapped about, and next to what you know now.
What?
Like,
That's
I've
true,
seen
too.
some-
Remember Albert
yeah.
Bell? Like, Albert Bell was a baseball player, but I believed he would kill somebody. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
kinda was what it was.
Exactly. Like, this certain time, like, we believe that the Undertaker was dead for a small period of time in our lives. When we were very young, whenever we saw the Undertaker, it was like, yo, they got a zombie out here. It doesn't make sense why a zombie would want to compete in a sport, but all right, we here now, so that's what's up. Kane is his brother. They burned him, so he wears the mask, but he came here specifically to fight him in a match. All right. So it's that old suspension of disbelief thing that we keep talking about. I compartmentalize things. You know what I'm saying? Like I truly understand and I appreciate reading the gossip sometimes and reading all of the behind the scenes. But when I see it on TV, I understand that that's a TV show. These are characters. This is unlike watching a movie or a TV show. Like I don't think Robert De Niro has actually done the things that he's done on screen, or Al Pacino, or any of these guys. And it's like my own personal philosophy when I was, kind of heavier in music. It was in the studio. This is my creative space. I'm here to create. But as soon as we bounce that file down, it's all business. So you compartmentalize. I do this here. When I go outside, I do that. You know what I mean? And for us, like, it's just allow yourself to not think about anything but what you're seeing on TV and just be warped into the story. I think that's the best way I can, they say look through a child's eyes is because a child can't really multitask. There ain't that many tabs on a kid's browser. You know what I'm saying? So that's my 2 cents.
That's a good one.
I'm actually going to piggyback off of that because I was kind of going to say something kind of in that, but also like I'm going to add social media as well. And also the fourth wall and the fifth wall and the sixth wall, because listen, like nothing's private anymore. So it's like,
no, man, break the walls down. Kool-Aid man, pause.
So it's like, everything is reported. Like we know who's debuting ahead of time. We know this and we know that. I remember back in the 90s, it's like, I know personally for me, whatever I saw, I thought it was real as a kid. So now as the years gone by and social media started to come around, it's like, all right, we know, some people know who's going to win at WrestleMania. This person knows who's going to win an Elimination Chamber. I really don't want to know that. I need that mystique. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. And we just talked about this recently too. Sorry to butt in, but why, like, now that we're looking back at it, how much better would the Rumble have been if Cody was a surprise? He won it. How much better would that have been if it was a surprise?
Yeah. It wouldn't have been worthwhile. We already knew he was coming back.
And that's what
we were saying it since he left.
And that's
he'll be back.
And that's what killed it, because it's like he already said, "Oh, he's coming back." I was like, you didn't have to say it. It would have been even bigger if you had just not announced it and just showed up, because you just had that. You just had the that 2-part thing saying with that recovery. And I was like, you could have left that out and just made it a huge surprise. You know what I'm saying? And that that goes for like everything.
But what's a surprise anymore? Like, we knew Cody was coming back. Y'all act like he was like he wasn't with the WWE. You know what I'm saying? Like he was coming in from AEW.
But they don't have to announce it. They didn't announce it back in the day when Shawn Michaels would come back from an injury. He came back. You know what I mean? It's like,
but I think it's because they're catering. They're catering to the worst kept secret ideas. That's all they're doing. You know what I'm saying? They know these secrets are terrible. The internet and dirt sheets are ruining everything. What is the point of us hiding a Cody Rhodes return?
That's the question. That's kind of the topic.
Are y'all familiar with the term kayfabe 2.0?
Yeah.
Nah.
Are y'all familiar with kayfabe 2.0? Kayfabe 2.0 is all of this, and if you're running the wrestling, if you're writing, if you're booking these shows and booking the wrestling, you understand that this shit is probably going to leak. So you work the dirt sheets now. You can't work the fans. The fans are plugged into the dirt sheets, and now you work the dirt sheets. That's all. You tell Meltzer some shit. You tell Sean Ross Sapp some shit. You tell, Keller, all of these different people that make a living off of doing what a journalist does. All right, cool. Here's this bit of information. I'll leak this. I'll leak that, blah, blah, blah. And you throw people in different directions on a wild goose chase. And if you're tapped into the dirt sheets and the social media, you don't know what's true anymore, because you're getting conflicting reports, or you're getting this person is coming back. Maybe their injury is worse than it is. Right now with Randy Orton, right? As an example, there's not a lot of chatter about Randy Orton, but I'm sure if there was contact made between Orton and WWE and they were starting to write him back into some storylines, if you were tapped in to Sean Ross Sapp or Twitter or whatever, you start to see that. You would see it pop up on
major update on return from Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Right. So the way you do it is you say, damn, I think Randy's injury, he had not relapse is the wrong word, but he had he re-aggravated.
I thought he was Eminem.
Yeah. He re-aggravated the injury. You know what I'm saying? So for the people that are tapped in, basically for the dirt sheets, if you're writing wrestling stories, work the dirt sheets. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like, this is not, none of this is Barbara Walters 2020. We're not breaking what's going on in Afghanistan. This ain't really, world politics. So fucking tell Sean Ross Sapp that Cody just signed with ECW. ECW? Yeah, ECW. You know what I'm saying? Like, just have some fun with that shit. But I think for us to, again, like to bring it back to what we do is like just either tap out of all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Even with us having a podcast, it's difficult because we have to have something to talk about. On a weekly basis, we have to have something to talk about. It's not always going to be, I just watched that show, here's what I think of the match or the segment. Sometimes it's going to be, I heard this bit of news. So we're tapped in. So it's just like, just let all of that shit go when the TV is on. You know what I'm saying? And just...
That's what I try to do. Exactly.
I think I'm spoiled with my wrestling takes. You know what I'm saying? I've been on the message board forum for years. Like, I'm coming from like the EFED era. You know what I'm saying? Like WrestleView. I was following Gurus Report like early on back in the day on a black background website, just checking all the early shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember the era when they was talking about like, yo, Edge about to be out for mad long with this neck injury, and I was like, huh? We just saw Edge. Like, what do you mean? And then didn't make it to No Way Out 2003, and he was gone for a year. And I was like, wow, Edge is out of here for real. They were pretty accurate with that. So like, I think I'm very spoiled when it comes to the dirt sheets. So I feel like that whole surprise thing, I think it's pretty much like, it's kind of dead right now, bro. Like AEW signed everyone they could. WWE has everyone signed they could. There's no free agents. There's really nobody that's going to make you go, yo, this person's coming in we already know who's coming. It has to be a contract of somebody that is important for us to be like excited again. We've got everything we can to be excited right now. The bloodline is the most exciting thing in wrestling right now. So this is the lightning in the jar that we have to keep. And I don't see it that I'd see us having some time, like a couple more years before that happens again.
Yeah, my last point on this is just that it's now the responsibility of the people booking these shows and writing these shows to challenge themselves, right? We know what's going to leak. If it shouldn't always be relying on this surprise entry to pop a crowd. Now you really have to be creative. You know what I'm saying? You have to like get in there and figure out how all of these people that you have signed to this company work together and the different angles and who can turn on who and who's aligned with this person in this match and blah, blah, blah. It has to be creative in order for you to capture the imagination. Like when we're watching things, sometimes it's not always imagination. It's just like judging performance. It's critical. So to capture imagination, you do with the bloodline, that whole thing, which I guarantee is so much of Paul Heyman's thumbprint all over that story. You know what I'm saying? And he is the embodiment of knowing how to use the people that are in front of you, hide their weaknesses, accentuate the positives, and use them in a very, very creative way to create a compelling story. So
right.
Creative is the variable.
Like there's a couple examples within recent years where lightning has been caught in the bottle. So I know they could do it. It just matters if they really want to, I guess.
It comes every couple of years. Kofi Mania.
Yeah, so we have like the dinner debonair. That wasn't just popping the crowd. That was lightning in a bottle. We have the Sami and Roman standoff at Elimination Chamber and the story leading up to it. That's not just popping the crowd. That's lightning in a bottle. Then we have, CM Punk returning back to AEW, or returning to professional wrestling. That was not just popping the crowd. That's lightning in a bottle. It had a feeling to it. The Acclaimed winning these championships and going on their run. That's lightning in a bottle. It happens. I just wonder why it doesn't happen as much. And I don't know if it's necessarily social media as much as I feel like how we'll joke about Tony Khan. He's such a data-driven person. And you got to be when you own the thing. I mean, you're paying attention to everything. But at the same time, it's just like, I think they're so attached to the numbers that it almost forces them to not do it more or not listen to the fans more. Because even though the fans are putting money in their pocket, they have an agenda, they have stakeholders, they have collaborators, they have this, they have that they have to tend to, so they can't necessarily do that. And like I said, not so much in the case of AEW yet. AEW is just kind of doing whatever Tony Khan wants to do at this point. But as far as WWE goes, I do feel like we could probably see it more often if there wasn't the blinders of all the other outside noise making decisions versus just us having that product. And I do believe that, and I'll just stop talking after this, but I do believe that AO was 100% correct. The nostalgia of us and like the feeling of us, not even nostalgia, that first-handed, like your first experience with this thing as a child or as someone who's just experiencing this thing, it's that awe and that wonder that comes from it. So you'll never really be able to recreate that. But I do feel like when they thread the needle properly, we get hints of that, and it's like, oh shit, I remember when it felt like this, because you're feeling it right now. So I think they could do it. I don't know how they could do it. I just thought it was a good, like, kind of thought-provoking topic. So yeah, there we go. What do you got, Chad?
Worst match of the last 12 months. Go.
Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, that was
And I do not put
that was easy. That was so easy.
Dog, you said I can't think of another one that I was more disappointed in, right? Because
From
just look at
February
the
last
caliber
year
of
to
this-
this year?
off top of my head, listen, I'm a glass and a half of wine in also, so I'm chilling. But Bianca Belair, we already understand the caliber of a superstar, generational talent that she is. And I'm not shitting on Alexa Bliss because we understand that when she was first brought up in that first initial couple of years that she was on, out of NXT and then on Raw and SmackDown, she's dope. I think they saddled her with the spooky Bray Wyatt bullshit. And when you try, I think a lot of people have a bad impression or a bad taste in their mouths, pause, about Bray Wyatt's matches because there's so much character work in there that it takes away from the action. And inherently, we're talking about a sport which is action-based. So when you talk about Alexa Bliss, she's sees somebody in the crowd and then she pans over and sees somebody else in the crowd and then she gets dizzy and backs up, and it's like,
It is dumb as fuck.
What story are we telling? So there's that part, and then for
I really
whatever
like
was
this
going
topic,
on,
by the way. I fuck with this topic.
This is good. This is good. And then the other part, and I'll pass it. This is quick. The other part, so that part to the side is they just for whatever reason didn't have chemistry that night, and that happens too. It's not that Alexa Bliss is whack. It's not that Bianca Belair is whack. It's just that sometimes on some nights shit just ain't clicking. Bottom line. So, but that match was just not it. Ron.
I mimic everything you said. That was going to be my choice, but I had to think really hard about it, about something else. The only thing I can think about.
Not every match is perfect in these last 12 months, y'all.
No,
There's
it's
no way,
not
y'all.
perfect, but
You know what I'm saying?
there was nothing.
There's a lot of bad.
There's
in
nothing.
There. A lot of bad. Not even a little. There's a lot.
There was nothing on there that I can think of right now. The only thing I can think of is just every almost match after he split from AJ Styles. That's the only thing I can. That's it.
Which tells you AJ was carrying
Absolutely.
that
I
big bag.
love
And I'm
AJ
not-
Styles,
and listen-
bro. We got to do an AJ Styles appreciation show.
Right, and I love AJ Styles.
Hello.
And you see, I've worn his shirt damn near half of these podcast episodes. But anything almost has done after that, I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. Either that or
Why is almost pronounced Omas? But there's two
I
O's.
think it's the Nigerian way to say it.
I hate
and
it.
then put an asterisk over it.
You hate Nigeria.
Is that it?
Uh,
Nah. According to 23andMe, I can't hate Nigeria.
For everyone on the podcast that's listening right now and not watching, that was not the white guy that said that. And we're going to be fine.
Yeah. And
Splice that in a book saying, I hate Nigeria.
oh my God, boycott us.
I'm good on that. I ain't catching no straight.
You said, bro, that was not me.
Nah, man gonna come with a dashiki the next episode.
Yo, peace.
I told you I'm coming over to Islam. He's going to be sitting right fucking next to me next episode.
Yeah, you're going to be sizzling the beef bacon.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Oh Lord. Listen, the only other person I can think of that match was so par was anything with Ronda Rousey. Like,
Yeah, you just stole my
yeah,
whole
my
shit.
bad.
Yeah, I can't front tell you.
It's all right.
Yes, my bad. So yeah, I'll stick to the almost thing. Then yeah.
No, you're good.
All right, so let me ask y'all this. Is Ronda, because y'all all three just said Ronda Rousey, right? Are Ronda Rousey's matches disappointing
Yes.
or just bad?
Both.
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 So you expected more
I
from
didn't expect
Ronda
shit
Rousey.
from her, to be
She
honest.
had way more potential, but I just think that she came back and since she got comfortable, like she needs this tag team with Shayna Baszler so much to hide the
Bro, her
weakness
first
that
run,
Becky-
she was
doesn't
fire.
care.
She acted
Doesn't
like she
care.
cared.
Right.
She doesn't care.
She
Yeah.
don't. She's her face to everything she's doing. She don't care, yo. That's how
I ain't gonna
feel.
lie. When they first announced her, I was like, all right, whatever. Like I wasn't expecting anything crazy from her. It was just like just this MMA fighter coming in, like just to get some numbers, like a celebrity in a way. I didn't see anything going past that, to be honest. She had some decent moments that was cool, like you said, Book, like when she was coming in. But other than that, I'm like, it's whatever.
So are we all saying, because we follow this product, all products weekly, are we saying that the majority of the women put on the bad matches and that every match that the men have
Yeah, I mean, I have to give my
quality?
take too, for sure. I, I honestly, it sucks to say this, but I have a tie between two other women that are not Ronda Rousey for bad matches,
Yeah.
and one of them we love, Jade Cargill, bro. Those are not good matches. I'm sorry, like, and it's not because she's green.
I can
It's
agree with
because
that, yeah.
who the fuck wants to watch a squash match every time you go to watch a match? I'm not trying to see that. There has not been one credible opponent for her, and it's no fault of her own, but there has not been one credible opponent for her. So you have really written yourself into a corner with this champion, and I don't know what they're gonna do over there. But just specifically matches, because we love her. I love the character. I even love the streak. I love the idea behind it. I just don't. It's not there to me. But the tie for me there, and you know, I don't really hate anybody. I don't have like a wrestler I really, really hate. I mean,
No, this isn't
I
a
just
hate.
don't
This
like.
isn't a hate segment. It's just more so
Yeah.
observant of the last 12 months. Like there have been so many quality matches. There's no way that everybody's been putting on premium matches. Like we have to find
Right.
some of the worst matches in the last just 12 months. There have been some matches where we're like, yeah, could have did without this in the entire show.
I just feel like the way Becky Lynch has been booked over the past 12 months did more to hurt her
Her and
than it
Bailey's
did
matches
to
are
help
just
her.
pretty mid. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, so like you could see it's no discrimination here. I really do feel like I mean, listen, I could go down the list of men that I can't stand their matches 24/7. It's not just the last 12 months, so I'm not trying to put it all in that one direction.
Dexter Loomis.
Yeah, I was never there with him, but you're right. The way that they're booking him. I mean, listen, guys, we can literally do side episodes with so many topics. Like, literally, the next episode we do, fuck all the Michael Cole love, all that shit. The next episode is called Where's Miro?
Yeah,
Like
where
that. Like we could go on for literally an hour and a half about Where's Miro. Like we have no clue what's going on with that guy, but
He's at Ribera's.
that's exactly.
listen,
where it is.
like you said, this is no hate on any wrestler. Listen, they can do way more than I can do, dude. I twist my ankle getting out the
But as
damn
a
bed.
brother's critiquing this, listen, we got to let y'all know some of these matches were stinkers. And Ronda Rousey, you had quite a few recently. Also, we'll say the
Quite a
Soraya DMD match, not so memorable.
No.
And as far as men, Braun Breaker, time's almost up, buddy.
I was never big on Braun Breaker, man. Like, I understood the pedigree that he came from, and that's where it stopped.
Something about the
Because when
voice.
the bell rang, it's like, and then the bell rang. Every time with Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker should be having the Jade Cargill run. Like, he should be 100-0 right now of just like 2-minute matches, and we're just like, well, that was expected. All right.
Yeah, like there's
Braun
so
Breaker
many.
and Wardlow, right here.
Spider-Man meme.
I think there's a higher ceiling on Wardlow than there is Braun Breaker.
What is
think
the
Braun-
higher ceiling for Wardlow? Because I remind me about Wardlow's history. Because outside of them vignettes that brought him in and him being MJF's like henchman for a year and some change and then breaking out, I personally have lost the luster for Wardlow. So I don't really see like what's going to win me back with Wardlow. If he wins at Revolution or not, like Wardlow could go.
What
ahead
you're
and stand.
talking about, got you. What you're talking about is booking. What I'm talking about is if you give Wardlow a mic, he can talk. If you put Wardlow in a ring, he can wrestle. So then we're talking about booking. Versus Braun Breaker, I've seen things from Wardlow that were actually impressive.
True.
And when the first couple of times that I heard him on the microphone, it surprised me because I didn't think he would be that good. right? Braun Breaker, the ceiling is going to be higher for him in certain cases because of who he's related to. I haven't seen anything from Braun Breaker that was actually impressive. So I think if you subtract the actual Steiner from it all and just say, if given the same storyline, which obviously is not going to happen, but put in the same storyline, all variables equal, I think that there's a higher ceiling for Wardlow because he's actually better on the microphone and in the ring than Braun Breaker.
That's fair.
I don't know why I just thought of this, but what if we had a swap? And what if we traded Braun Breaker for Will Hobbs? And how much Will Hobbs would run NXT, yo?
Yo, I've been said
such
Will.
a
Yo, I
fire,
feel like
yo.
I said this like 3 weeks ago. Yo, I was like, yo, Will Hobbs should be in NXT. Yo,
You did say that.
I
I
think
just,
you did say that.
I don't know. Like, again, for me, NXT is so below some of the people that just aren't being booked right in certain cases, right? I think if you take Powerhouse Hobbs and you put him on he's SmackDown worthy, quote unquote, or Raw worthy. Like, he's beyond developmental, I think. I just think he's not booked in the situations where he can actually perform well. Because then I get like, there's no reason why after he turned on Ricky Starks, he hit him with that lariat, you know what I'm saying? And you get the whole call. Fuck it, that shit did numbers for us on TikTok too. And that might have been our third post, right? People responded to that. And since then, the best they've been able to do is take the Book of Hobbs, which was a metaphorical thing, and have him walk out to the ring with an actual book. The fuck does that doesn't
on
help
Dark
anybody.
Elevation at tapings in Tampa or Orlando, Florida at the old Impact.
Now,
So
Hobbs, if booked correctly,
would be the NXT World Champion.
should have been Black Goldberg. No question. But Will Hobbs should have been running through the entire fucking roster, bro. No bullshit. After that Starks turn, he should have took out Samoa Joe. He should have took out everybody and had that TNT title over his shoulder.
Bro, I'll do you
for
one
the
better. He should
longest
be in the
time, yo.
TNT title match right now at Revolution. Like, this should be a run back from their other triple threat. And now it's like, oh, Hobbs is going to win this shit, man. Like, it's a shame, yo.
They had that three-way story going for a little bit, and all of a sudden he just got missing. And I don't
We're going to do an episode
should've-
probably soon, one down the line, eventually, where we just do a mock draft of like where wrestlers who aren't being used should be going to in other companies.
It's
Oh, I have an exit
it just looks
survey.
like
Thank you.
it just
God.
looks like AEW just starts these stories at, like the Book of Hobbs, and they just don't know what to do after that.
There's no stories. Like, we have great matches,
Yeah, that's
like
the thing.
Orange
It's
Cassidy
not a
and
story.
Yuta. Great matches, but who the fuck cared about
AO
Orange
helped me
Cassidy and
to accept that AEW really is week to week booking, and they really only do minor storytelling with the main event pictures, like whoever the
with the
title
major
holders are
upper card,
for the
Jericho,
pay-per-views. But
Moxley,
for the most part, it's
Danielson.
just week to week booking. Yeah,
The people that matter
as
get the
long as
storylines.
I can accept that going into the movie, I could watch the rest of the movie. I just kind of had to let it go that I'm not getting my deep storylines that I wanted to get, right? But I think the reason why we get so upset is because we see that they have all the pieces they need to do it, even if
They've
it's
done it
not their
twice.
mantra.
They've done it twice.
Yeah,
They did
CM
it
Punk
with
and MJF.
Punk and MJF, and then they did it with the whole Hangman and Omega and
Yep.
Young Bucks.
Yep.
Right? They did it twice.
Yep.
So that's, I think, the frustrating part is like, we know it's there.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to tell the same story, but you know that you're capable of booking a few months out and a story and details and little callbacks. They got something, I'm not sure if y'all saw it, but they're throwing hints now about Hangman and the Bucks, because when Hangman did his interview on the last Dynamite, you saw the Young Bucks sneaker in his locker, you know, just kind of like a little Easter egg. So that story is still continuing, right? So there's still little hints, and I actually do care about it. It's there. Why isn't that care and craft put into the rest of the roster, even though you have as much talent at your disposal as you do? That's
Yeah.
the frustrating part,
Yeah.
because we know you can do it, but you're just not.
Yeah.
Versus like the MJF and the Chris Jericho storylines right now are the same thing. We're running gauntlets, and if you beat all these people, you can get to me.
Until the next feud between both of them, where you got to run a gauntlet to get to them.
Exactly.
And as much as I shit on this storyline or shit on Jungle Boy in general, because I think I did just say fuck Jungle Boy. Well, that was because he lost me a pay-per-view, whatever. But that segment between him and Christian was actually one of the better parts of Dynamite this week. I thought it was great.
Christian is the most amazing heel ever, and he'll never get his props.
Slithery.
Just the look on his
All the
face, bro.
fame
He does surprised, but like, I don't know how to really put it in words. He's surprised, but he knows goddamn well what he did. It's like he's got this look on his face, like, I didn't do it. I don't know what y'all are all talking about, but I know exactly what I did at the same time. He is crazy, bro. I love his acting.
He got caught with his pants down. Pause. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh shit. You know what I mean?
Yo, Paul, take us out of here.
So, for an exit survey, I'm going to bring somebody up that we haven't really brought up in a long time. I kind of mentioned their name earlier on the podcast. We don't talk about them a lot because they're on a break right now. But coming up very soon, FTR's contracts are up in AEW. So throw it around, fellas. Do we think FTR stays with Tony and they continue what they've built in AEW, or do they jump ship and do something else in another promotion?
I'll give you what I think is about to happen, and I give you what I would advise them to do if I were that close to them. I think they are the fourth team in that 4-team tag team AEW. What's the Revolution? I think
Casino
they're the fourth
Battle
team.
Royal.
I think the Casino Battle Royal. I think they're going to be the fourth team to win that and go on to win the titles at Revolution. But that would still happen before their contracts run up. So theoretically, they could win that, still lose, and still sign some, elsewhere. However, my advice to them would be the last time, your last run in WWE, we saw you guys booked into shaving each other's backs backstage on camera. So you were clowns.
These guys were essentially an ass cream segment.
It was horrendous. Do you trust the regime of Triple H? Because I don't know how different anything is. I'm not there. So do you trust, based on your relationships, that you are going to be put in a better position if you go back to WWE than you will be if you A, stay with AEW, or B, test your free agency and just have fun? Run around and wrestle and run the price up. Do your Japan runs. Do
that
your
bitch.
Mercedes that bitch. You know what I mean? So that would be, it's more of a question than a definitive answer. Do you trust that you're going to not be put in situations to look like clowns, knowing how much the two of them love old school professional wrestling? What position do you think you're going to be in if you go back? And I can't answer that question, because they could have a conversation with Triple H and he could follow through and say, no, we're booking you to the fucking moon. We believe you're the best tag
team. They could be like,
planet.
hey, we saw what you did with the IC title with Gunther.
Exactly.
We see what you're doing with the US title picture on Raw. How about we get these tag titles up there too? I see Jimmy and Jay holding it down, but what better way to bring it to the next level than to bring us back?
If we get to this 2-night WrestleMania and the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn ends up being one of the two main events, like we've talked about on and offline, that's so much proof that there actually is room for the level of tag team wrestling that FTR want. And that's more than anything that anybody could say. That's proof in the pudding of saying, hey, you come over here, we're going to treat you right. You have Cody. We're booking your mans to the moon. He was the top guy over in AEW, helped found that company. Now we're putting tag team wrestling in a main event spot at the biggest show in this entire industry. If that happens, that's like a wink and a nod. Like, I can't tell you better than I can show you. So that's my answer.
I gotta pause this real quick, and then you guys could give your the rest of your answers. But Vince McMahon wet dream tag team, Will Hobbs and Big E.
Yo, that ass.
That's a nasty. That's a nasty. Yeah, I ain't even gonna say it, man. That's just nasty. Yeah. Outlandish activity detected, man.
Oh my god.
But yeah,
I want to talk about beef bacon.
What's your pick? What's your pick on FTR? We brought beef bacon full circle.
Holy Moses!
I see. Shit, I didn't even think about FTR now because they've just been out of the loop, you know, for the
Yeah, they've been on a break.
yeah,
And before that, they've been on a
a downward spiral. But listen, I can see them coming back and getting those AEW titles. I don't know off who. And then you just mentioned the contract is about to be up. If they do decide to leave, I could say they can go to New Japan, or as A was saying, I was just thinking about what you were saying about like how Cody left and then, you know, got bigger, and then now this guy's like an all-star over there. I think, you know, with Triple H as the new regime, you know, he's gonna see the same thing in FTR. He's gonna take them seriously now, and they're gonna come back, and they're gonna be like they're gonna literally be the top guys over there. As if they, you know, if they're booked correctly. But I can see like they get the same Cody treatment. So yeah, I can see that if things work out well with them. That's how I see it for now.
What say you, Chadwick?
They're staying put. They're not going back to the E. Just because WWE Tag Team titles might main event WrestleMania for the first time ever. Big accomplishment. But let's not forget that for the last year, the tag titles have stayed put. So where's FTR going? They're going back in limbo, because there's still a bunch of other tag teams that deserve those titles before they get there in the WWE. So let's keep it real. They're going to stay in AEW, or they're going to ride out New Japan.
I respect it.
Not mad at it.
Well, you don't got to go home, but you got to get the fuck out of here.
Big.
Yes, sir.
Fuck you, San Diego. And
Peace, y'all.
good night.